The San Antonio Spurs' next dynasty has officially begun. After all the success the Spurs were able to have over the past 20 or so seasons, a lot of people consider them as an NBA dynasty. After being able to win championships, after being able to make the playoffs virtually every single season for 20 years, it was extremely impressive what the Spurs were able to do. And in my opinion, based upon Victor Wembanyama and a couple of other factors, I think the Spurs are officially starting their next dynasty. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionative NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Going into this season, the expectations for the Spurs weren't really all that high. Although their newest addition and their first overall pick in Victor Wembanyama had a ton of hype and excitement around his name, when you looked at the rest of the roster, although there was talent, it was very young talent, and teams and fans around the NBA didn't expect them to have all that much team success. And really the main goal and the main focus of this season for the Spurs would be to identify how good Victor Wembanyama truly is. Because although he was playing extremely well overseas, and although we haven't necessarily seen a guy his size do the things he's capable of doing, of course there still were some questions and concerns. Because any player, even coming in from college, but especially when guys come over from overseas, there are definitely some questions on how well or not that player would be able to adjust to the NBA level. And of course there were some questions and concerns about Victor. But as we're around halfway through the season at this point, it's pretty clear that all those questions and concerns about how Victor would translate to the NBA are completely done with, as Victor has had a phenomenal season. As when you look at his statistics on the year, he's averaging a little over 20 points per game on 10.2 boards and 3.4 assists. And obviously those numbers are tremendous, but when you watch Victor Wembanyama play out there, it's pretty clear that he's actually significantly better than those numbers would suggest. As of late, Victor has had a bunch of 30-point performances on extremely efficient shooting. He's had a bunch of games where he gets 12 or more rebounds. He's done a really nice job at getting 5+ assists in a bunch of games straight. Even besides that, he's able to get a bunch of steals, getting those passing lanes. He's able to get a bunch of blocks by utilizing his athleticism and utilizing his wingspan. And overall, it's pretty clear that Victor at this point, he's just one of those guys that is extremely versatile. He can literally do everything out there. And the fact that he helps you out in so many different ways, both offensively and defensively, is a huge reason for why he's such a special talent, and a huge reason for why he's been able to be super successful for the San Antonio Spurs. But a question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, why do I think the Spurs once again are building another dynasty? Well, of course it comes down to a couple different factors, but the first and main factor has to be Victor Wembanyama. Because obviously I mentioned before in the video how great Victor has been. Of course he's been extremely versatile, he's been great on the defensive side of the court, he's been a great rebounder, he's been great at facilitating for his teammates, but of course the main reason for why Victor has been so successful so far has to be due to the versatility he has within his scoring ability. Because when you look at Victor, it's pretty clear that this guy is extremely unique. With all the size that he has, he's also extremely skilled. As from that 3-point range, of course he's able to hit that catch and shoot 3-point jump shot, but he's able to do a lot more than just that. As from that 3-point area, Victor has a great ability to cross over into a 3, hit a sidestep or step back 3, even hit a post turnaround fadeaway from that 3-point range at times. And overall from that 3-point area, what Victor does so effectively is not only has the ability to shoot it in a lot of different ways, but he's also been able to be extremely efficient from that area. But besides just that 3-point shooting ability, Victor does a great job from that mid-range area as well. As of course he has all the same abilities like the catch and shoot, crossover, sidestep, step back, post turnaround fadeaway, but he also does this at a really efficient rate as well. Now once driving all the way to the basket, Victor of course is also extremely good and extremely unique. As once he gets a full head of steam, it is very difficult to stop this guy. He's able to put up floaters in the lane, he's able to finish around the basket with either left or right hands, he's able to do a really nice job at hitting those little post hooks, baby post hooks, utilizing his size and wingspan in order to finish over the defender. And basically no matter where Victor Wembanyama is out there on the court, it's virtually impossible to stop this guy. And the fact that Victor is so diverse, but he's also was so efficient and effective from all three levels, in my opinion, is the main reason for why he's so difficult to defend. Now, the next reason for why I think the Spurs are going into their next dynasty has to be due to their coaching. Because when you talk about Greg Popovich, he's been coaching the Spurs forever. He's done a phenomenal job at coaching the Spurs up into championship victories. He's done a great job at coaching them up into making the playoffs consistently. And overall, it's pretty clear that Greg Popovich is one of the best coaches in the entire NBA. And when you still have a guy like that to coach a very young team like the Spurs do, and especially to coach an extremely talented young player like Victor Wembanyama, of course that's going to be a huge positive for your future. Because although Popovich has been coaching for a long time and we don't necessarily know how much longer he's going to coach this Spurs team, just the fact that he's coaching them right now and just the fact that he might be coaching them next season is obviously going to have a significant factor and a significant effect on all of these young players. Because at this point, this is where they're going to learn the most. And if they're learning under an extremely talented guy who's proven to have a ton of success in the past, obviously he's going to instill all the right habits in these guys, and they're only going to make improvements as the seasons do progress and even as this year does progress. And I think we've definitely seen that. Now, obviously on the season, the Spurs don't have a good record whatsoever, but nobody expected them to be good. But the most important thing that I'm seeing from the Spurs roster, especially as of late, is they are playing a lot better. They're playing much better as a team. They're playing a lot better defensively, a lot better offensively. Obviously, at the same time, Victor Wembanyama is starting to step up his game and play at a ridiculously high level. But regardless of that fact, the improvement that we're starting to see within the season is definitely something that's very promising and definitely is something they can build on going into next season. And I definitely do think the coaching has a huge part to play in why we're starting to see some level of success from the Spurs as of late. Now, besides just those two factors that I mentioned, the talent level that the Spurs have, of course, is another factor for why I think they are going to build a dynasty. Because although at this point they don't have enough talent on the roster to make the playoffs or be competitive in the playoffs, at the end of the day, they do have some nice guys on the roster like Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, who I'm a huge fan of, Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, and some others. Of course, they have a lot of nice young talent on the roster that's probably only going to get better with time. And obviously, this is just a start for the Spurs. They're of course going to add more players in the draft this upcoming year. They're probably going to try to add some players via free agency. And I do expect this team to get better season after season. Now, obviously, with all that being said, the Spurs are pretty far away from making the playoffs and of course very far away from being competitive in the playoffs. But with that being said, at this point, I do still think they are in the early stages of a dynasty. And I do think as the seasons do progress, they will eventually make the playoffs. And after that, they'll be competitive in the playoffs. And then after that, potentially even win an NBA championship. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening, not only for Victor Wembanyama, but also for the San Antonio Spurs as an organization. But I will say I am extremely excited to see what does. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the San Antonio Spurs are in the early stages of a dynasty, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out, guys.